Hi, everyone. I'm Madeline Johnson, and I'm Sign-Up's Content and Community Manager. Welcome to the Sign-Up Videocast series. Today, I'm here with Andy Chadwick to talk about some of the new developments in the world of search, specifically everything about how AI is coming to play a huge role in the way we create and optimize content, how we search, and more. So, Andy, how about you tell everybody a little about yourself, how you got into the industry, and what you're doing now?
Yeah, so I'm Andy Chadwick. Thanks for the introduction. I'm one of the co-founders of a business, a company, an SEO tool called Keyword Insights, or Snippet Digital is like the managed service of that. So people either know us from Snippet Digital or from Keyword Insights. It's a predominantly like a content marketing platform that helps companies basically turbocharge their content strategy. But a big part of it is AI, which I guess is all the rage at the moment. Except for we were doing AI before OpenAI was a thing, so we tried to beat it to the game, but it's just so much better now. But no, the co-founder of that, my other co-founder lives in Norway, fully remote team. How did I get into the industry? I think like everyone by accident. I started with a roller shutter company. And if you don't know what roller shutters are, they're the most boring thing on earth. And I used to sell them, and I basically span up a website and realized I wasn't getting any sales. So I thought, how can I get this website to the top of Google? Or how can I get more sales? And I realized getting it to the top of Google. And so taught myself SEO and built up a roller shutter company to quite a large company. And then when I sold that company, I thought I'd get into helping other people do the same thing. And then this span into another company on its own, which was this SEO tool, which we built because so I'm a terrible manager. I hate managing people. I really don't enjoy it. And so we created this tool basically, or I started with this tool until I met my business partner, because I was freelancing and I needed to find a way that I could scale. And I didn't want to hire anyone. I didn't want an agency and with loads of people, which is ironically what we have now. But I didn't want that to begin with. So I tried to automate as much of my work as possible. And so the very first iterations of Keyword Insights was basically just a load of separate, tools that ran in Jupyter notebooks or Google Colabs. And yeah, basically I met my business partner at a bar in London, as all great stories go. And then he was like, yeah, dude, we should build this into an actual tool that people can use. And that's what happened. So here we are. And now I manage people again, which just gives me goosebumps.
I feel like that's a very common story of people having their own business, trying to find a way to get more visibility, and then ending up learning a ton of stuff, and then just catapulting into the world of search and helping other people, and sadly or not sadly managing other people to help.
Yeah.
That's cool. So tell me a bit about the AI tool. I didn't realize that you guys had made it before ChatGPT. Kind of crazy timing. How did you at first develop that, and then how is it now that you have all this competition from more mainstream?
Yeah. So I wouldn't, to be honest, I wouldn't call it. I say we had AI before OpenAI was a thing. We used if you'd asked me back when we made it, I wouldn't have called it AI. I would have said it was very intelligent NLP and machine learning algorithms that we were using. It's just so happened that as this has gone on, people tend to label everything as AI when it's not really AI. So I guess, do you know what I mean? We had machine learning and things before OpenAI even existed, and so our software would learn from data. And so a big part of our software was we were one of the first to be able to bulk label keywords with intent. So you could upload tens of thousands of keywords, and then we would tell you whether it was information, or we were one of the first tools to do that. And the methodology behind how we did that is we trained a massive data set. And so it used machine learning so that when you put in your keywords, it learned from other ones. So I guess it's not really AI, but under the umbrella of what people are calling AI now, it was AI. And so we've got a content. We have a content AI writer, or ours was just for content briefs, although we've spun it out into more of an actual writing thing now. So it used to be more basic. You used to be able to just pull in the key headings and it would give you prompts and stuff. So that was based off of a really early version of what OpenAI now has. So it would use large language models to predict the next chunk of text, and it would bring that in. Then OpenAI came out, and a load of other tools basically made it into a wrapper, and it was a lot better than ours, to be honest, in terms of what customers were after. They wanted not just little chunks of text, but whole articles span out for them. And originally we were really against that, so we stuck to our guns. But as we lost people going to these other tools, we realized, okay, we're going to have to bite the bullet on this one. So we have now released our own AI writing assistant, which, you know, is a mix between something like Surfer and Jasper. It allows you to spin up text and do all that stuff, but trying to keep true to our morals. And there'll be a lot of people who say they don't quite work and they're not very effective. But trying to keep true to our morals, we've built in an AI detection into the AI writer. So if you're using it too much, we'll sort of go, hey, you know, maybe rewrite this and put a bit more human spin on it. But yeah, we, according to the broader sense of the term AI, we were doing it well before OpenAI and things took off. We just didn't call it AI because I don't think it really is.
No, I definitely I agree with that. I like that you guys have the AI detection worked into it. I feel like now that tools like ChatGPT and Jasper and Surfer are all more, you know, widely available and more widely used, people are maybe overly using it as a crutch. And yeah, like as you said, people don't just want a content brief. If they can get the whole everything written to them, then they want that.
Yeah, and we're trying to, especially with our AI writer, it works really well when I do demos, because when I show people what we're trying to achieve between that balance between human and AI, they get it and they're like, oh, actually, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Don't get me wrong, there are still people out there who just want to churn out complete AI generated articles, and I mean, good luck to them. I think there is a reckoning coming, and so we're against that, and we're still not released a tool that lets you do that completely. But what our tool helps you do is use AI to speed up your workflow. And when I show people, look, there's loads of tools coming out, which is just a wrapper of ChatGPT, which churns out as much content as you want in minutes. And originally I was very worried about them, but I've realized they're not really our competitors, because people churning out that sort of content, to be honest, it's not your enterprise companies anyway. They're quite sensible about what they want to do. And anyone who wants to actually make a decent website wouldn't be doing that either. So I'm actually not that worried anymore, but it's still a hard sell, because when we try to sell someone, oh, we have an AI writer, they go, well, we don't want one. And then we have to go, oh, but it's not a complete AI. It's just a really weird sell until I show them how it works, and then they're on board with it and they get it.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think that people who don't know that much about how people are actually using different tools will sometimes say, like, or just maybe assume everybody's just using it to spout out hundreds of articles. But in reality, I think the way that more conscientious people are using it is something like you offer, which is, you know, like making it helpful for your workflow, but not, oh, we're gonna just do everything for you, which I think is the right approach. And yeah, I agree with you. There's definitely, for the people who have been sort of just using it to spout out whatever they want basically, I think there's going to be likely a reckoning, the great reckoning. I do feel like that's already maybe in progress. I see stuff on X, on Twitter, about people talking about, oh, these websites are performing well and these ones aren't. But what is the reality in your opinion?
I think there's got to be a reckoning somehow. There's just so, I don't know about you, but in fact I saw it, another report from someone else. The search results over the last 6 months, I think, are the worst they've ever been for me. They are bad. And when I start to look into, and I compare some of our competitors' traffic to our actual site, Keyword Insights, to our competitors, and I was clicking on some of their links, and it was like, oh, it's just so bad. They were ranking number one. So they were ranking one for an article called, I can't remember what they're called, but they they basically span out all this generated content to be like tool versus tool. Together. So it's like SEMrush versus Ahrefs versus Surfer, and you can see what they've done is just brought up a spreadsheet, probably put some points in, and then used AI to mash out 1,000 articles on tool versus tool.
Yes.
And I was reading, it ranked number 1, which is why I found it. And this is only 2 weeks ago. And I was looking at the headings, and it was like under main section pricing. I would expect to see, and I used to see 6 months ago, a very thorough, this is Ahrefs pricing, this is SEMrush pricing, these are the different levels. It was a paragraph that said, oh, they offer 2 different pricing ranges. Ahrefs typically has a credit base, SEMrush has the. It didn't tell me anything about the actual levels or what they were. And this was ranking number 1 against some proper pieces which had like tables and like actual useful. So I think there's a I mean, search engines will have to do something because it is getting bad. It's not there yet, and I think you will see successes if you want to get rich quick for a few months. You can easily churn out 1,000 articles and get a lot of traffic to your site. But for those who care about their brands, I think take it easy. And I'm definitely a proponent of using AI. I'm definitely not. There's people out there, writers and people who say don't use AI at all. I'm not one of them. I'm just trying to go down the middle of the road. Like, use it to speed up your workflow, but don't just do the whole thing using it. Otherwise, I think it's going to catch on.
Yeah, I'm of the same mindset. I feel like that's a pretty common. This thing that we're seeing with AI generated content is a pretty common arc among, like, in the search community, which is that someone finds a loophole or a way to game the system and get a lot of stuff ranking really high really quickly, and then before it's sort of like shut down by all the search tools, then a lot of people do it because they see, oh, this is working, and then everything just gets flooded with really dicey content, and then everybody gets rich, and then they find the next thing.
I have seen the results getting objectively worse. Like, I've clicked on more links and gone, actually that's not great. Then I've actually consciously noticing it. So I think there is a record. I don't know how it's going to happen, because I imagine it's very difficult to pick up on it, but I think it will happen.
Me too. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I've also seen a noted decline in search result quality. What about, have you played around with like using different tools to search for things, like saying, oh, like, give me a travel itinerary? Or I know a lot of people play around with Bard to get more, I've had mixed results myself, but I'm curious if you have any thoughts.
Yeah, I was agent GPTs, the ones that sort of self-run and execute. I actually did use one to plan a trip round, I think it was Barcelona or something, and it actually did work really well. So it obviously set itself the tasks, broke it into subtasks, and then executes each one and pulls the review. That was really useful. But I think this is going to be one of your questions, but where I see it going, where I see search SEO going, and a term we're trying to pivot ourselves into is to stop thinking about search engine optimization and start thinking more about search experience optimization. What I mean by that is, so playing around with SGE, which is obviously coming soon. I think you might already have it in the States, but it's definitely not here yet in the UK. But playing around with it and seeing, I don't think it's going to be as. So a year ago when Google first showcased it, everyone's like, oh shit, it's going to take away all of our traffic because it's pulling in everything. As I've played around with it over the last 12 months, they've dialed back on actually how much they're putting into it. I think for a few reasons. One, it does destroy their ad revenue. Right. And two, I think they need to be careful because if they pull in the wrong thing, they could be liable for something. So it's definitely dialed back, but it still will take traffic. I Googled best mountain bike for off terrain, and it pulled in all these various sources and reviews, and it was so much better than just reading a review would have been. But what it doesn't give me is the experience of someone I trust and know, and actual visually seeing it. And so what I think we'll start to see, and this is where I'm coming around to search experience optimization, is influencers and brands and actual people behind the names become more important, because if more and more crap is being published and more crap is being pulled into the top of the results that I can just read, I probably want to say, if Madeline Johnson's an expert on this one, I'd probably just jump straight to your reviews and read that, or go to your TikTok and watch that, or go to your YouTube and watch that, just so I can see firsthand what you would recommend or whatever. And so I started to see it as well. So if you type in things to do in New York on a mobile, you will get TikTok results pulled in just above the YouTube, actually above the YouTube now, and it's influencers who are that. And if I typed in best bathroom ideas, I'm now starting to see Pinterest ideas coming rather than anything else. And so what I think we'll see is more of this. What I think we should do is search SEOs and start thinking about search experience optimization. Okay, not just what type of content do I need to make? Is it a video or is it informational? But what sort of format do they want it on? If it's a bathroom ideas, I need to make something very visual on Pinterest. If it's best bars in London, actually that traffic's going towards TikTok. If it's about medical things and my headache, that's probably still going to be on Google. I want to read an actual thing on that. So yeah, looking at where I think influencers and actual people and putting faces to things is going to become a lot more important than it is at the moment. I think it will wipe off a lot of affiliate sites, to be honest, because I will just go to this site for that recommendation or whatever. But yeah, that's what I think will happen.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I've been liking like the little tidbits of improved search experience we've already been seeing with, like you said, when you search for bathroom decor ideas or like bathroom renovation ideas, you'll see Pinterest come up. And when you search for, I don't know, some, like when you search for maybe like a full house video, like renovation, like YouTube videos will come up, or if you're looking for the best bars in London, TikTok results might come up. Yeah, I feel like the more that things are integrated with what people actually want to look for and the type of content and the format that they're looking for, like the better search will be and the better people will be enjoying their results. Because like we just said, the results right now could stand to improve. But yeah, that with the improved search experience, I think that'll be important. So like with what you have in mind for where the changes might go, how is that going to change how you're approaching your business and your client's business when you think about search experience?
Yeah, so there is a hidden secret feature that's coming to our tool, which I can't talk too much about, but it will align with what I've just said, and helping people to work out actually where they should be optimizing rather than just what. And I do think it's going to be tougher for small brands in this way, but I do think so for our clients, we are definitely looking at which channels can supplement what we're doing. So we have a CBD client, and actually for all the things like benefits of CBD and health benefits, that traffic still all goes to Google. But if you start looking at like best CBDs to help me sleep and stuff, that's starting to trend up on TikTok. People are looking on TikTok for that. So it's how can we, especially because this is quite a small brand, how can we start pushing to these other channels in a cost-effective way? Because they don't have budgets for a whole new team to start making videos and stuff. So how can we repurpose our videos in the most cost-effective way possible? Well, our written content in a cost-effective way to make these videos. And actually, this is where AI starts to come back in again. There are all sorts of softwares and things where you can take a blog post, have a authentic voice narrating over it, something making images for it, just make it interesting and push that still out to these socials. So I know we're getting less about SEO, but this is where AI comes back into its own again. And you're using something you've genuinely written. It's authentic. It's genuinely by you. You're just then using AI to help with the workflow and make those videos again. So this is where I think AI is really useful. Yeah, I think I've gone off on a tangent there. Sorry, Leslie.
No, that's I mean, like that's exactly what people will be tackling, what they'll be doing. Like content repurposing is nothing new, but it does take resources to produce content. It takes resources to rework that content into, you know, like if you like you say you have a blog post that's maybe ranks like pretty well, but like how are you going to get the eyes of people who might search for the same thing on TikTok or on YouTube or on Pinterest, or, you know, using any number of ways of searching for stuff. Like people don't just search on Google and end it at that. Like they want to see real people's opinions, whether it's on Yelp or on a TikTok video.
Yeah, yeah, and as you said, repurposing is not new. But I think it'll become more important, and I think it's going to be targeted. Like, don't just spin out things onto YouTube, TikTok, and wherever because you think that's where they find out where your audience actually is, and yeah, repurpose it that way. And then, like I said, use AI to help you do that. Like you can make a pretty decent-ish TikTok short using AI software, which has a voice, has video, images, all original, and looks fine and is engaging as well. I found this channel. It's so ridiculous. It's like it's really hypothetical, but I was scrolling across and it came up. It was who would win in a fight, a polar bear or a gorilla? That was it. Silverback gorilla. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I was watching it, and it was like just all it was doing is it wasn't actually fighting. It was like summing up like how strong they are and whatever. They went on the channel, and it's just hundreds of videos of wolf versus this animal, tiger versus this, and you know, it's something I've always been sort of weirdly interested in. Who would win in a fight out of a polar bear and a gorilla? And all they've done, so I then went to Google to see if there's a website, and there's a website all just comparing it. And I went back to the TikTok video, and basically all the stats they were using had just come from this website. Right. And all the images were just AI generated. Like it had like, you know, it's just, you know, shorts with it drifting in, and then the polar bear drifting in, and then drifting out and drifting out. I was like, that's genius. They basically turned this website into a load of TikTok videos, each with millions and millions of views, and they've probably not done it with much work, like just using AI to make that. So right, that's a good use of it.
Plug information in. Yeah, I think that's a smart way of doing things. When you mentioned the fighting, I thought that you were going to bring up those I've seen on TikTok, maybe less informationally based videos of like simulators of the things actually fighting, but they're always ridiculous. Like nothing that people about, like not grizzly bear versus polar bear, but like a million ostriches versus
I've seen that one, yeah.
and tiger, like things like that. But yeah, no, that's a good point. It's you can very easily make more high quality content with the same amount of or like only a little bit more input than what you're already doing, which is the blog post. But you know, it's much more exciting and engaging sometimes to consume it in other methods. So that's very, very cool. I know since you said you can't reveal anything about your new tool, I won't pressure you, but I am curious as to like how you would recommend people sort of navigate this new landscape of, oh, you might need different content forms, and you know, besides maybe using an AI tool to make a nice video, if there's anything else people should be keeping an eye out for, or maybe doing or investing in.
Yeah, I think I mean, it sounds really just like common sense, which is sometimes what I think SEO is just common sense. But if look on these other chat, like okay, if you go on Google Trends and you notice the trends going downwards of whatever your thing is, this is how we started looking at it, by the way. We have a garden furniture company, and the reason we started looking into this is they said, hey, every year for the last 5 years, garden furniture has been trending downwards on Google Trends. We're like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder why, because people still want garden furniture. And if anything, it's getting hotter, like as the years go on. So why is it because financial? Well, no, 3 years ago, it was still fine and people had a lot of money because of COVID. So why is it trending downwards? You start looking into it, and on TikTok, it's trending upwards, and on Pinterest, it's trending upwards. So we're like, okay, the audience is still there. They just moved to different places. Long story short, it just sounds like common sense. It's not going to say anything to wow, but just look at TikTok and Pinterest both have their own trends, Google Trends version. You can have a look on there and just see where they are. And basically, if you're spotting a downward trend on one of your other channels, just have a look and see if your audience has moved, and then start thinking, okay, I might need to start optimizing towards this one as well.
Right.
Yeah, it's not particularly groundbreaking, but that is
No,
literally what to do.
sense. It makes sense. And yeah, getting your products or your services in front of people who are actually interested in it, it was always just a game of thinking like them, thinking finding where they actually are, and wherever that might be. That's funny. That's interesting. I bet that's the case with probably a ton of different things, because like we've been saying, sometimes it just doesn't make sense to read a blog post or get some impersonalized recommendations. People want to actually see someone recommended, and they want to see products in use, and they want to see how people styled their garden furniture and everything. And that's something that just is harder to provide over on a typical website page.
Yeah. That being said, I don't think so. A lot of people, I did a talk in Bulgaria recently, and one of the most asked questions was, oh, does that mean as a writer I'm out of a job, or will I get a lot less work? And I said, to be honest, if you're a good writer, no. For bad writers, it's basically a good writer. What I mean by a good writer is you can have two people who can write technically the same. They've got the same grammar and stuff. Okay, they're both good writers, but a good writer does research and brings in original research, original data points and original insights. That's a good writer to compare to a bad writer. Now, a good writer will not lose their job, because all these AI things are based off of existing stuff. So everything it writes already exists somewhere. That's how it's learned it, right? A good writer can bring in some sort of originality to it. A bad writer can't, so that's why they'll lose it. But a good writer, they won't lose their job, but I think they will be expected to do more in the same time. Like maybe before they earmark an 8,000 word article and it would take them a week. Now they should really be doing it in half a week, because and the example I gave, I wrote a piece recently for Search Engine Journal or Search Engine Land, one of them, about tangential SEO. It was a 6,000 word article. Completely original. All the examples were mine. All the thinking and methodology was mine. But I used AI to do two things. One was to, if I'm coming up with an example or an anecdote or a simile, I just ask it AI. I'd be like, so in the blog, I'd write, oh, it's like doing this, this, and this. And then I go to OpenAI and say, can you give me 5 more examples? Because it will help my audience, and it will churn out 5 more. I just stick that in. So that's one way I was using it. The other way I was using it is okay, now I've written it. Whereas before I used to pore over how I'd structured my sentences and if it made sense and how can I make it more concise, I can now just dump paragraphs in and have it reworded. So still all my original thought, my ideas, but completely made quicker and better by OpenAI. And that, I think that article, which normally would have taken me 8 or 9 hours, I probably did in 3 or 4. So it wasn't done in 2 minutes like some of these people are just churning out stuff, but it definitely significantly shortened the amount of time I could do it. So yeah, good writers will still have work, but I think they should be expected to do more in their time.
Right. That makes sense. Besides using it for things like that, have you found any other ways that your general workflow has been changing?
Yeah, I mean, coming out of content writing, I use it to. We did a massive survey for all the users of our tool, and it was Google Docs, and obviously all their responses go into an Excel sheet or a Google Drive. Just uploading that into Claude AI and saying, can you just summarize all the issues, the main ones? We had 500-600 responses, and in 30 seconds, this thing spat out all the main issues people were having. So really easy. Where else have I been using it? Support channel. So Saganthan and I still man our support for our tool. Saganthan, my business partner. The reason being, we like to do support so that we can hear firsthand about the issues people are having, so we can get them fixed. And one of the biggest things people ask us is they send us a CSV and go, it's not working. And was before we used to scroll through the CSV to find out what wasn't working. We now just chuck it to OpenAI and say, can you find out if there's any issues with this file? And I go, yeah, on row 7,946, they've got the wrong, and that used to take ages to find all that out. So, I mean, just things like that, like little daft things, just speed it up so much. But yeah, definitely data analysis and chucking in spreadsheets and asking it to summarize it. All of that, it's been brilliant.
No, yeah, I feel like I have some friends who are software engineers, and they've said it's amazing when you're finding bugs in
your code. Yeah,
things like that. It would usually take, hours and hours to find one little problem. But yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, like when you're thinking about it from a business perspective, are you worried that people can just copy the tools that you're making or copy your strategies?
No. So if you are developing a tool that you're serious about, I can't remember who I heard the term of, but where did I heard the term? Doesn't matter. It's always about building your AI moat. So basically, your protection against AI, like because AI is coming for everything. So, okay, in the difference between our AI writer and other AI writers is that we let you look at all the search results as well, and we base it on the current search results. So we scrape current search results. We show you all the headings. You can look at all your competitor headings. You can bring that in. Just an AI writing tool doesn't do that. It's based off of everything it's learned before. Our keyword clustering, okay, you can use AI for clustering, but it's not based on live search engine data. It's based on an NLP thing, and unless you're using live search data, you can't optimize to what Google's showing. So, it's pretty pointless. So and then we're bringing in all sorts of other features into the clustering and the writer, which isn't something AI can do because it's something that's based off of something else. So yeah, I would always advocate building some sort of AI moat. So whatever the tool is, like think, okay, AI can replace. I need to find it. I saw a really good mind diagram, like a diagram which is like, if your tool does this, AI can do it, and it was like yes, no, yes, no, and basically as long as you manage to get one no on one of the branches, you're pretty safe against it. Yeah, it's really good. I need to find that again. But yeah, building something that AI can't completely replace is what our goal was or is.
Right. I like that term AI mode. I feel like that's something, since there's like a general excitement / panic / existential fear of everyone losing their jobs to technology. I feel like that's a good like rule of thumb for anybody who's figuring out ways to work it into their own workflow or into their own tool or into their every day what they do is just to find something that you or your tool does that's not replicable by AI. I'm sure that's a great little mind diagram. Sounds great.
Yeah, and as you said, actually, yeah, not just I was talking about it in the with respect to our tool, building an AI moat for our tool, but yeah, even as individuals, if you are a writer, then you build your AI moat by moving into something, I would say, like, I don't know, I'm just spitballing here, but like medicine or something right. Writing about specifically that, where people need to be peer reviewed, and it's a lot, it's not just something you can spit out and things, or going into more modern journalism where stories are changing every day. It's not something that AI can churn out, or coming up with more data-led things where you have to go out and find original data and pull together insights from that. So if you're a writer, you could build your AI moat doing that. If you were a developer, it's coming up with things that the AI can't just spit out the code for. So I can't think off my feet here, but yeah, it comes down to individuals as well as just tools. So yeah, good point.
Exactly. Yeah. How are you working to, I guess, fortify your AI mode? It sounds like you guys already have a pretty good one going on, but is there anything that you're worried about or keeping in mind as things progress at the quick rate that they seem to be?
So our AI might protects us against AI being able to. So you couldn't use ChatGPT or anything to do what you can on Keyword Insights, but what AI might doesn't protect against is if Google fundamentally if people stop, like I said, part of the AI writers, we pull in the headings of the top ranking pieces, or we cluster keywords based on the search results. But if fundamentally those search results fundamentally change, like SGE goes well far and you don't have 10 links anymore without headings and people don't, that then it's like an indirect problem with it's AI has affected our tool, but not directly. It's because the actual search engines changed that it's affected it. And so we are looking at that. And this is where I'm talking about that. We're going to start looking at search experience optimization and how we can pivot our tool into not just looking at SEO, not in the traditional sense of the word, but optimizing for these other channels as well. So that's how we're starting to pivot it. It's not, I don't think it's mad urgent for us, but I do think search results will change slowly, and that's what we need to protect ourselves against, as do probably every SEO tool out there that scrapes search results, because they're just going to be so different.
Right. That's a good problem. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, like as search actually goes about radically changing and the search experience changes, like the tools won't be able to actually function in the same way. Do you feel like, I feel like the timeline for things changing is sort of unclear, because nobody ever really announces, oh, we'll be completely overhauling the search experience next year. It just sort of happens randomly. But do you feel like it's impending or more far off?
I think more far off. I think I'm purely basing that on the fact that I think if Google they could change it all tomorrow and it would be a better search engine, but I don't know what proportion, but let's call it 80% of their revenue, whatever it is, comes through ads. It's massive. And I can't. So I don't think they will have found a way to still advertise in a way and change the results fundamentally. Otherwise they would have done it already.
Right. That makes sense.
So until they solve the issue of the ads, I can't see how. And then so Bing came along and released OpenAI, and everyone's like, "Oh wow, this is gonna dent Google." And they famously said, "Oh, we know that this isn't good for our own pockets because we're taking ad space away from us. But as long as we're taking market share from Google, like, we're winning here." And I think it barely did anything. So I don't think Google needs to worry about. They were worried when they first came out, and they've seen it literally make no dent really on their bottom line. So they're not going to rush to do anything because they still need the ad dollars. So yeah, I don't think it's imminent. Otherwise, we would have started to see it now. And I just think it's purely because the ads give them so much money, and I can't think of another way that they would do that yet.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thinking about it, I can't really think of a way that they can replace the ads while also changing the experience. That is interesting. I knew that Bing, I didn't realize that when Bing released their sort of OpenAI enhanced search that nothing, that the market share hadn't really changed. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I'll have to get the report up. It barely made a dent anyway. I think Sundar, the CEO of Google, was famously saying this is code red for us. And I think as of last month when the report came out, it's barely done anything. It's yeah, we're too embedded with it. We're too even if Bing it was better, we're all still, oh, I'll Google it. I'll Google. Do you know what I mean? It's yeah.
That's true. It's tough. Even if they sort of change everything, then people aren't just going to switch platforms just because. Yeah, especially when it's something new. It's hard to get people to adopt it, even if it's cool and maybe will work better or be more enjoyable. It's tough. It's tough to get the, oh, I'll just Google that out of people.
Exactly. So yeah, I think it will come. I don't think it's coming anytime soon.
Got it. Are there any other, like, besides the search experience changing, do you think there's any other impending changes or far off changes that you can envision happening or that you're preparing for in your own business?
Do you mean in terms of search, or I think?
Yeah, in terms of search or in terms of anything you have your eye on.
I want to be careful because I remember, I can't remember, it was 7-8 years ago, when Alexa and stuff came out and people were like, oh, voice is going to be the next big thing. And I'm not, I don't want to say I was a clairvoyant or I was ahead of the game, but I remember saying, I don't think this will ever become a thing, even when everyone was saying it will. And my argument was, I loved it. I was like an early adopter of it, and I had it from, day one. But when I was asking it where the nearest whatever it was, and it all, how big is this? And it gave me an answer. And it said, I've got this from the website here. I couldn't see how that was ever going to translate to money ever. Like no business. And even when everyone was saying, oh, voice search will be the big thing, and I had businesses going, yeah, we want to be visible on Google Home and Alexa, I went, but why? They went, oh, because I was like, no, tell me why. Like if I said to you, what's a good microphone? It was like, oh, taken from blue.co.uk. I was like, no one remembers that. They just want the answer of the thing, and they'll go like, it will never make money. And it never did. So I want to be careful what I say here, but I do think, because I don't want to be like, oh, voice search is the next big thing. Well, it'll never be a thing, but like VR is where I was going to go with this, with Apple's new headset. I just don't know. I don't know how you will translate that like into search or whatever, but I feel like there's going to be something there in terms of ads and getting, I don't know, ad space. And I don't know how it's going to work in more in games and stuff, and paying for ad space in these big open games. I think, I don't know. I'm talking really futuristically here, only because I don't want to talk about voice search being the next big thing, I guess. But I think VR is going to play something big in ads and ad space and being in front of people.
Yeah, I can definitely envision that too. I think something like that, it's very hard to predict how it will go, because I think when sort of more radical technology like that is rolled out, a lot of people are very skeptical, and then also for the everyday person to even get into that is like a huge investment. Like the VR headsets are not cheap. They're more expensive than a laptop. So the average person is probably not gonna have it. But I also sort of have my eye on that. I'm curious where it will go.
Yeah, but I mean, I look at so Meta obviously made VR headsets actually affordable for the first time. And they didn't really catch on. It hasn't, I mean, I've got one, but I think it's just collecting dust. But I always think whenever Apple's jumped onto something, even with a stupid, I mean, $3,500 is just ludicrous. But when Apple starts to catch on to something, you think, okay, if they're investing in this, there's probably something in it. Not this first iteration, probably not the second or third one. It's too big, too expensive. But I think 4 or 5 years away. Yeah, I don't know. I think so.
I think that seems right. It'll be interesting to see how things play out. I also agree that Apple's always coming out with stuff that I think is sort of, for lack of a better term, dumb to have, and then a few years later. So like
it's not like,
yeah,
it's like when Google do something. Have you seen the Google graveyard? It's like they just throw shit at a wall and see what happens. They just try everything and loads of things die. I don't know of many failing Apple products.
It's true. Yeah, I can't say I can think of one off the top of my head. I besides Apple Arcade, which I don't know if anyone uses, but that they keep trying to get me to buy. But yeah, but besides that, it is true. Yeah, like when the iPad first came out, I was like, why do people want a big phone and a smaller computer that can't do iPad? And now I have one. So
whereas you got Google, they've got Google Glasses, which never happened. They had that games console, which never happened. They've got so many things that just they killed off. Yeah. So anyway, I think VR will have something to do with ads, but how that looks, I don't know. I think in my head, and this is well out of the realms of my expertise and my experience, but in my head, it's going to be more of these big 3D in-playing games you're in, and you're having ad space there, but based off of your profile. And I don't know. I know it's not really on the subject of SEO or AI, but I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, a little. I think it all draws back together. It all relates in some way. Yeah, that'll be cool. Hopefully the VR headset you have will no longer collect dust.
Oh no, I think it's too old now. I quite like the first one. It doesn't. I don't think it would boot up if I tried it.
Maybe time for a new Apple one.
No, not at £3,500 or however much it is. No way. What a waste of money.
Oh, yeah, with all these changes in mind, like how would you recommend the average digital marketer stay on top of all of these changes? Because like you have the average digital marketer just has their day-to-day job, but there's all this stuff that's constantly happening and changing all around us. So I guess how do you suggest people stay on top of things, and how do you yourself go about staying on top of changes?
To be honest, I rely on others. So I subscribe to a few newsletters, and I make sure I take time out to read them. Otherwise, it's so easy to get an email newsletter and just go, oh, forget it. But I do try and scope out time to read them. So Leda Solis has one. Nick's one's got one. Then there's a few specific industry ones. So there's an AI one that I subscribe to. I can't remember what that one's called. And then when speaking specifically about SEO, Maria Haynes has got one that I subscribe to. So yeah, to be honest, it's newsletters like that. For very niche and long tail things, I set up Google alerts. So if there's anything around our competitors, to be honest, I have a Google alert for all of them, and it just helps me, like, what are they releasing? What new thing are they bringing to market that, what are they jumping on? And then subscribing and following like real industry leaders. And so obviously Sam Altman on Twitter or X, follow him because he's basically telling me what their next feature is, which is going to be probably what the next feature our competitors bring out is. Right. If Sam Altman brings out GPT-5, which is coming, which has image and video, I know that our competitors to our tool will probably just tap into that and bring out image and video. So I need to know that before and start thinking about how I can use it. So yeah, I guess again, just common sense, but find some newsletters you're interested in, subscribe, make sure you scope out time to read them, and find those industry leaders on Twitter. So anything you're interested in, if it's OpenAI, follow them and really read what they do and make sure you do carve out some time to do it. But yeah, that's how I do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. With all the changes, like you said, that you sort of pay attention to what's coming next when you're thinking about what your competitors are going to do. How do you ultimately decide what you're going to pursue and implement in your own tools?
Yeah, that's a good question. We made the mistake in hindsight of trying to release too many things. And so as a small bootstrapped company, we thought to make our tool better, we need to release more features. So keyword clustering is what we're known for. And then SEMrush were logging into our tool and we saw them doing it and they were like, oh, we'll release keyword clustering. So we thought, oh no, like, because everyone uses that. And then Ahrefs were going to bring out keyword clustering, and then we had a few other tools bring out their keyword clustering. So we're like, okay, crap, we need to start building other features. So we built AI Writer, which we're going to keep, but in hindsight, I wish we hadn't gone down this path. Basically, where I'm going with this is we've realized that actually there still is a place in the market to be hyper specialized at keyword clustering. And when we got the results back from our survey, everyone was like, oh, can you bring this feature into your clustering and this feature into your clustering and this one into your clustering? We're like, oh shit, even though a lot of these users have SEMrush or Ahrefs, they still want a clustering tool that does these. So where I'm going with this is how do we decide what features we implement? Just because something new and shiny comes out, we've got loads of ideas for tools and loads of ideas for features. We're now trying to stay focused. Does it improve, or can it improve one of our existing things rather than something else new? And we've got to try and stay really disciplined in doing that. Otherwise, we'll have a situation like what we had, in the middle of last year, where we've only got so many developers and we've got like 12 features, and we can't make all those 12 features the best at what they do. So we ended up having a tool which was semi good at everything, whereas actually we should just make something that's really good and better than everyone else. So yeah, we prioritize based on, is it going to enhance an existing thing? We're not making anything new.
Right.
And yeah, we've learned from that.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think it's tempting to want to become the all-in-one tool. That's the only thing that people will use. But in reality, I feel like, you know, when comparing tools that do anything, each tool sort of has its specialty. That's very cool that you guys have sort of become the keyword clustering kings.
Yeah, we've got some really good ideas for it, and so yeah, we're dialing back on the other stuff. We had this whole roadmap of new features, but that's all. It's not been binned; it's just been put in a filing cabinet, and now we're just improving the clustering.
That's very cool. Yeah, maybe one final question, and we're coming up on the end of the hour of our chat. So, yeah, I guess just any advice for somebody who wants to sort of be at the forefront of things. I know you gave great advice on like subscribing to newsletters and paying attention to what your competitors are doing, but like at the end of the day, what's the thing that you feel like drives your success, I guess?
I think my answer is going to be like a summary of things I've already said, but keeping on the topic of AI, I think find ways to bring AI into your work. You'll be surprised about how many things. Okay, let me go back. Our whole tool came out of the fact that I wanted to automate things, so I didn't have to hire a load of people. And as I've gone on, you'll be surprised about how many things you can automate using AI, but also just using automation tools like Zapier and stuff. There's a guy I'm friends with, Chris Simmons. The stuff he automates just blows my mind. Everything's done on a Zapier. He doesn't code any of it, and it's stupid little things that he does. Like he'll make a video like this, and he'll actually use an AI program to break this up into some sound bites, transcribe it. That'll go through Zapier, then that will get emailed out in different sections to different people in different times of the month. Then that will go to his TikTok, all automated. And he is basically a one-man person, but releasing more TikTok and YouTube content than I've seen anyone do. He's just because he's automated it all.
Right.
So yeah, think of something that you're doing always, and it's time-consuming and it's laborious, and you know, think that there'll be a way to use AI to automate it. And if you don't know what that way is, use AI to tell you what that AI is. I've actually asked OpenAI, how can I automate this? And it's told me. Like that's how I'm using it. So yeah, I think keeping it on topic, that is what I would suggest. Especially if it's, I don't know who's sort of listening to this, but freelancers, your time is so valuable. And if you can make more time, I mean, that's why we make Keyword Insights. Then automation is really the way to go. But even if you're an agency, you know, especially in the UK, I don't know how bad the situation is over there in the US. Luckily, most of our clients are US, but loads of people are in housing in the UK. They're getting rid of agencies. They're trying to save costs. As an agency, you need to save costs. So, you know, bringing AI into what you do and, you know, thinking more about it is key.
Yeah, that's great. That is great advice. Is sort of like thinking about how to solve your own problems, and then just going from there. Yeah, I feel like that's sort of how every good thing starts.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Great. Well, yeah, this has been an amazing chat. Thank you for all your great insights, your great thoughts, all of your experience that you bring to this. This has been amazing. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Great. So I'll end the meeting, and yeah, I think I will publish. This is set to be published either at the end of this week or at the beginning of next week. So I'll tag you. I'll let you know. Yeah, this was so great. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
No worries. Thanks for your time. Look forward to it, and I'll obviously reshare it and everything. So yeah, exciting. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Speak soon, and you. Bye.